Good afternoon, everyone. Leon Weinstein here from Los Angeles, California. Today we will talk about the dark secrets of the top leadership of the Democratic Party of the United States of America. First, we saw Harvey Weinstein and dozens of world stars outraged that he raped them. Well, there she is, someone over there. She said they didn't want him to rape her, but he didn't rape her, and she didn't get the role. And I agreed and endured it. It was horrible, but I became a star. Every single one of them voted for Wade and Kamala, before that for Hillary. Every single one, every single one. And Harvey gave a lot of money to the Democrats.
Then Epstein appeared.
And mystically, 99% of his clients who flew to his island on the plane called the Lolita Express. But the girls were under 17 years old. Mostly 99% of those who flew there. There were Democratic politicians, officials, and top figures from Hollywood, the music industry, sports, and so on. And now Didi, and again, politicians, musicians, actors, dancers, television hosts, and again, Democrats. Why? All politicians, well, I'm sure of this, are not completely pure in soul, but truly dirty in soul and possibly in body as well. In America, time and again, there are supporters of taking other people's money and giving it to someone out there who supposedly suffers. But in reality, who will vote for them? How did Clinton's friend Harvey, Clinton's other friend Epstein, and Obama's friend Didi get so concerned? How did the Democratic Party's politics worry them? Tell me who your friend is, and I'll tell you which party you belong to. That's why the United States Democratic Party is trying so hard to keep quiet about the Didi case. Because all the participants in this disgrace are active, no, not what you think, active Democrats. That is, they're either ordinary or political prostitutes, and sometimes they're both, and quite often, as I understand it. And everyone who has already seen my first Didi video, by the way, you can call it Diddio. Just welcome to the continuation, though I suspect it's not the ending yet, because you never know where the thread will lead. No, actually it is known. By the way, the Democrats arranged things so that the lead prosecutor had to leave, and they sent James' daughter to take his place. Komi. Cool, right? So, that very scoundrel Komi, a friend of the Clintons, was sent here to keep the fire from spreading. But the fire just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading.
Even if the security officer didn't include all the details in his report, even if he was nervous, the video of Diddy attacking Kessi is well known and speaks for itself, especially for those who have discussed meeting a celebrity. No legal tricks can erase this evidence. And now, let's talk about the main character of this terrible show, Kessi Ventura. This is a woman who is currently pregnant. She is expected to deliver in June, and in her own words, she has endured a hellish experience.
The police deliberately made these videos blurry. In court, they showed everything in detail. Didi knocked her off her feet and knocked her down, then grabbed her by the hood and by the hair and dragged her into his room. And all of this is on camera. All of this is evidence. By the way, she's pregnant, but that's cute. That's a little thing. A trifle, right? By the way, Justin. Ventura, yes, he apparently created him, or at least took part in his promotion.
Megyn Kelly, for example, openly spoke about the need for Diddy's circle to start talking. On her podcast, she harshly criticized Justin.
Bieber.
The former protege of Diddy was paid for his silence, but Bieber is not involved in any wrongdoing. But Kelly claims that if Bieber was ever a victim or knew about Diddy's alleged misconduct, he is obligated to say something. Justin Bieber, his name is not mentioned in any of this, but Justin was very young when he got into Diddy's circle, she said. She also noted, There is no doubt that he spent a lot of time with this person, and I believe he should.
Say something. This.
The statement is hanging in
The air, like.
an unspoken tension at a Hollywood party after a premiere. The silence is more than a public relations tactic. It reflects Hollywood's cultural norms. In this world of dazzling lights and constant cameras, protecting one's own image often becomes more important than moral responsibility. The decision to remain silent is less about the truth and more about survival. A scandal may die down, but a tarnished
reputation
can follow a celebrity for their entire life. This raises more serious questions about the entire entertainment industry. How many more scandals have been covered up to protect influential figures like Didi? What does this say about friendships among celebrities? With high stakes, pressure on Didi's inner circle will likely persist.
And which other global celebrities have taken part in orgies, or even more than just orgies? Well, or maybe let's say were there as a sex worker. By the way, according to rumors, it was at the orgy of Eudidia that the last straw happened in the relationship between Barack and Michelle. Before the last straw, there were several next to last straws. For example, Kamala Harris or a couple of well-known white actresses, by the way, whom Barack had a crush on. But Didi, that was already, well, I don't know, maybe the last straw that broke the camel's back. And here is Didi himself, sweet, sensitive, charming, a gentle abuser, and maybe even a killer.
rough. Oh, I'm wild. Whatever I want, I have to get it.
This was the now convicted Didi, who by the time the trial began had accumulated a mere $800 million. Yeah, does this remind you of anything? If I want something, I'll definitely get it. Really? Let me remind you that long before this trial began, the person who was arrested for shooting in the Trump Hotel, his name is Jonathan Oddie, who explained that the shooting at the Chandelier, he also fired somewhere else there. This is a warning to Trump that he will be removed, well, killed, that is, yes, if he doesn't calm down.
That's it. Let's discuss the bizarre conspiracy theories related to this case. One of the most discussed involves a man named Jonathan Ott. In 2018, Ott was arrested for a shooting at the Trump Resort in Doral, Miami. He made several sensational statements during the interrogation. He said that he worked for both Didi and Kessi. He claimed that Didi gave him instructions on what to do with Kessi. Ode claimed he signed a $5 million non-disclosure agreement with Didi during their July meetings. In 2014, his wife Tanya Troutwine confirmed it, linking it to the divorce in 2014 and Ote's subsequent real estate purchases for cash. At first, Ote's statement was disregarded as nonsense due to his mental state and the violent incident at the resort, but here's where it gets intriguing. Kessi's testimony during the trial was interpreted as confirmation of Otto's involvement in meetings with Didi,
perceived as the ramblings of a madman. Oddie's claim that he works as a prostitute for Didi, Oddie, Didi. Maybe they're from the same pot? He didn't call himself a criminal, he called himself a sex slave. It turned out to be true. What he said turned out to be true. So maybe his other crazy and supposedly made-up words are also true. What words did he say back in 2018? I emphasize in 2018. So, at that moment, he had $5 million in his account, and the transfer was made from one of these accounts. And the words were confirmed about this. Especially when this video of Didi was discovered, where he is beating his girlfriend in the hallway. Oddie is an interesting figure. He said that he slept with both Didi and his girlfriend. By the way, several other boys who were called in said the same thing, for shared pleasures. He said, I clearly heard how Didi and Barack were discussing the murder of Trump. It was in the year 2018. Moreover, the idea was, as this very Odie told us, Didi Odie. So, The rally, so to speak, Trump is holding it on a platform out in the open. Somewhere there's a lone shooter, a shot to the head. What will you ask? In 2018, this was perceived as nonsense. But even so, such things should be investigated, nonsense or not. Why weren't they investigated? In 2025, we still consider this nonsense today. Or maybe not. Maybe we think it's just a coincidence. I told Audie I came to warn Rizzi not to stick his neck out, so he'd know that even he can be dealt with. Now, that's as interesting as it gets. Didi and Barack were discussing how to take him out. In their language, I think it's 86 if I'm not mistaken. 8 feet. The length of the coffin is 6 feet. That's it. Yes, the depth at which they bury. They were discussing the 86th United States president. A friendly conversation, an assassination attempt on the president, and just talking. It's all normal, an ordinary daily conversation between two highly educated, deeply moral people. So these are the goals. It's like I even want to say something. Do you see any difference between Obama and, say, Vova Putin? And Billy Clinton, who bombed Belgrade to distract public attention from Monica Lewinsky and Hillary, next to whom, for unclear reasons, either 80 or 100 people died. And how are Epstein's entertainments any worse than Moscow bathhouses or naked parties with drugs, sex, and violence? Are the ones in Miami or St. Petersburg any more modest? And now let's look at the transcript of the interrogation of the courier whom Didi used for delivering food, alcohol, and drugs. And Melania King, the journalist, is reading out the questions and answers. So the question is, did you carry anything from the drug dealers? By the way, I showed a piece of this, part of this interview in a previous video about children. Well, let's keep watching.
Have you ever picked up drugs for Mr. Combs? Yes, Percocet at the pharmacy, sometimes under my name. Did you give him permission to use your name? I don't remember that. Was he a drug dealer? Yes, one stop. He met with many people, yes, even former presidents. With whom exactly? Former President Obama.
So, at the hotel where the courier brought the drugs to Didi, former President Obama was there. Hearing this accusation, she immediately changed the subject. The interrogator didn't want to know what Obama was doing there. Well, that's exactly why he was put there, to avoid things like this. But it had already been recorded. I think sweat is pouring down the backs of the entire group of prosecutors.
Have you ever taken ecstasy? Yes.
I drank Tyrock, took ecstasy.
I danced like Didi. What do you mean? I was having a blast.
Thus, attention was diverted from being present at the party or at Barack Obama's gathering. Do you remember the famous host Ellen DeGeneres? She announced that she was leaving America because of the fascist president. It seems that something else made her flee in a hurry. The thing is, Ellen had a couple of friends, Didi and Svitch.
No one realizes that Twitch's death revealed the disturbing relationship between Didi and Ellen DeGeneres. After Didi's arrest, the reason for Twitch's death became known. When the reporter started talking to Ellen DeGeneres about Didi, she looked very embarrassed.
We are lifting the veil on the connection that blew up the internet. Ellen DeGeneres, the disgraced and once famous woman who used to talk about kindness, and Diddy Combs, the king of wild parties. Non-disclosure agreements, and now even a federal court case about human trafficking for sexual exploitation.
I already introduced you to Melanie King a little earlier, right? I think she's related to Martin Luther King.
Today, we will dive into the strange, inexplicable, and extremely suspicious connections between these two worlds. From the elite circles of Hollywood to guest lists at parties, from Ellen's mysterious interviews to rumors of blackmail and control. Buckle up, because you're about to hear something that might just be the final nail in the coffin, Ellen.
Ellen talked about the unusual relationship between Twitch and Didi. Stephen Twitch Boss is a well-known hip-hop dancer and host. He was found dead in a Los Angeles hotel in December 2022. The medical examiner confirmed that he took his own life, but his wife insisted that Twitch had no intention of ending his life that way. His death shocked show business. Rumors suggest a link to Diddy, whom Twitch met on The Ellen Show. As dancers, they quickly became friends. Soon, rumors began to spread about him and Diddy. At this time, Twitch may have found out that their mutual friend Ellen also attended Diddy's infamous secret party. Although Ellen and Diddy always maintained an open friendship, judging by Diddy's relaxed behavior on her show, there were deeper connections between them.
Let me clarify again. Diddy would secretly slip something into the guests' drinks without them noticing, making them act like babbling idiots. Then the guests were taken to back rooms, where they were undressed and put into various positions of different sexual acts. And then the photos and videos were shown to the victim when they had already come to their senses. The victim usually didn't even remember what had happened to them.
Some people reported that Twitch had compromising evidence against Ellen and Didi.
I committed suicide. He had no intention of doing it just 30 minutes prior.
This is a video from 2019 where Ellen Diddy and several now well-known industry leaders, many of whom are currently under investigation or have disappeared from the public eye, are all having fun together in the so-called Pink Room. It is reported that this Pink Room served as one of the private spaces where Diddy allegedly indulged in his darkest passions. The rooms were equipped with cameras, there were magic pills and women, many of whom are now testifying in court.
I should add that Ellen, like Diddy, preferred women, and she openly talked about it everywhere. For some reason, she was proud of it. Maybe Ellen is in those freak-off videos that were filmed and edited for Diddy freak-off videos. So this is no longer staged. This is actually real acts of oral sex that Diddy was filming. While his friends, or rather his victims, or maybe they are CIA victims, I don't believe that all of this was orchestrated by just one person, Diddy. Nevertheless, here again are those who bought services and those who provided services. I mean sexual ones. All of them voted for the Democratic Party of the United States of America, and not just voted, they begged, persuaded, and scared us with the terrible moral monster Trump, so that under no circumstances would we vote for him.
Many people on social media expressed concern about this crazy dynamic couple, especially in light of the recent arrests and everything else, as well as things I can't talk about. One person claimed that the comedian was one of many celebrities who attended these strange parties. They said Ellen DeGeneres knows a little too much about these certain parties. Someone else said, Max Nagelstaff, those parties must have been absolutely wild if such big names showed up there. If you've seen photos of people lying on beds dressed in white, you'll get it. A third user commented, Ellen, now the layers are starting to come off, aren't they? In 2016, when you called him Cattle Max Nagelstaff, it just seemed like another one of your quirky random nicknames, right? But now, in 2024, with all that's come to light, it raises questions. Someone else made a statement that I find strange, and I agree with them. And again, friends, let me remind you about those photos from the white parties in the beds. Listen, I know that Ellen and Puffy have had a publicly friendly relationship for many years. Friendship. He appeared on the show many times. Ellen, but after that arrest on charges of terrible crimes, which I can't talk about. The nature of their relationship is undergoing new, careful scrutiny, leading to the emergence of internet theories that I wish to discuss. The sudden death of Twitch, former disc jockey for Ellen, and actress Anne Heche, Ellen's ex-girlfriend, has sparked a lot of online speculation. Both situations were officially recognized as incidents.
But here's the point. What kind of dirt could Didi have on her? And what kind of dirt does she have on Didi? Why isn't she speaking out now and sharing the details? Why isn't there a single one among these Hollywood celebrities? No one is speaking out, not even when Kessi is telling the court about these twisted parties. Maybe it's because they were all part of that culture of twisted parties. Maybe they took part in them with him. Maybe that's just what they do. Such occurrences are common in Hollywood, so no one is surprised by it. What really surprised them was that Didi actually went to court for it, that he really got caught by the feds. But then questions arise. People have known about this for decades. People knew about these twisted parties and everything else connected to human trafficking and other accusations. Why did they stay silent for decades? Again, were they all involved in this? They knew what was happening, and maybe it's still happening, which is why they have to stay silent.
There's no doubt that Didi is one of them, not the only one. And that's something that for you and me is absolute evil. For many, it's just normal life. After all, they consider themselves the elite.
There was a resurfaced video of Khloe Kardashian on Keep It. In a recently resurfaced video from Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Khloe Kardashian confirmed she attended one of the parties in question. She also invited Puffy to a show. She complimented and praised him and posted numerous photos with him on Instagram. There is another resurfaced video where Ashton Kutcher admits that he attended these parties. He called them strange. Now, this friendship is strange and old. In the mid-2000s, these guys were so close that they called themselves the New Rat Pack. Jamie Foxx was also in their group. In a 2019 interview, when asked about their friendship, Ashton said, "Yes, I have a lot of things like that I can't talk about." Now, he might have to start talking soon because apparently he's expecting to be summoned to court over all these offenses. And yes, Puffy insists on his innocence, pleading not guilty, but there are rumors. Ashton is upset about potential betrayal. These two have been admiring each other for the past 20 years, as evidenced by the numerous photos of them hanging out together. So, there are clearly some stories there, and people want to know the details. Basketball superstar LeBron James also once admired these parties. In a live broadcast, he once said, "There's no party like an MMM party." While the revelations raise questions about the star's knowledge of the crimes, the extent remains uncertain. We should note that none of them were mentioned in the indictment. Other celebrities were quick to declare that they had no connection to Puffy or that they had already cut ties with him. While headline after headline appears in the news,
I think that's
every day new ones appear.
news.
Singer Ping recently denied rumors that she deleted her Twitter because of the scandals surrounding this situation. She said she doesn't understand why she became a headline, but deleted her Twitter account in February, stating there isn't any truth to the rumors. Although we met briefly, I have no connection to the people mentioned. A source close to Oscar winner Leonardo DiCaprio also denied the rumors linking him to P. Diddy, stating that while he did attend a few parties in the early 2000s, none of them were anything out of the ordinary.
I quote,
DiCaprio was unrelated. The parties were not orgies, just large house parties that everyone attended. Back then, Leo was just starting his career, and those parties were a way to network. So, Paris Hilton is another influential person who apparently approved of P. Diddy by attending his lavish parties for many years. She was repeatedly photographed at various parties with him. There's a photo where they look friendly, both dressed in white outfits, which means it was a white party.
It's impossible to endure this stream of names, celebrities, and dirt any longer. Probably since ancient Rome, the tastes of the elite haven't changed. You know, rapper Jay-Z.
Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters.
The names Jay-Z and Diddy have been coming up in courtrooms for many years. Footage leaked online that shocked everyone, and let's just say, the judge didn't hold back. We're talking about some very explicit, intimate recordings which dragged Jay-Z's name into an already complicated legal process. We are about to discover the contents of the tape that led the judge to take such strict actions.
So what was on there that couldn't be shown to the public, and why was all of this filmed from several cameras secretly installed in every room?
Reports state Diddy repeatedly stomped on Kessi's face inside the sport utility vehicle. Just think about that image for a moment. A man is stomping on a woman's face while she's on the floor of a car. This is not a moment of lost control, but a cruel, calculated act of violence by someone who believes they have the right to destroy another person's body, face, and identity.
They all voted and campaigned for the Democratic Party, calling Trump and all of us, ladies and gentlemen, immoral people without conscience or shame. That's what they called us. Let's end on that. If there is a continuation, you'll have to watch this dirty Reku's dirty nonsense again. Goodbye, I created the subtitles.